You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today is one of my favorite Eastern-based principles. So a lot of us have studied a lot about the body and wellness and how we can improve our life from many different areas. But one of the things that we overlook, and oftentimes to our detriment, is how we can improve our mindset. And that is the reason why I continue to do the Motivation and Mindset Mondays. I honestly feel they may be the most important topic of the week. And that's because I remember 20 years ago or so, and it didn't end that long ago, maybe just 10 years ago, where I saw it as a battleground for me to be able to fight against the SIBO that I had, the Addison's disease, the blood sugar dysregularity, the joint pain. You know, it was always a constant fight. It was a struggle against my own body. So I looked at it as I had to beat the disease. But the problem with that is that you're always fighting battles. Every single day you look at it as literally a struggle. And when we view our life as a struggle, it literally begins to wear us down. And when we get worn down, we can't keep the battle going. We can't keep the fight alive. So that's why there's a different philosophy in the Eastern-based practices. They're not looking at you overcoming your obstacles as a constant fight or a battle. And they know, because they understand the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of nature, is that everything will happen in its own time as long as you allow it to. So most of us have simply set up blockades preventing us from ever reaching our goal. Maybe yours isn't wellness-based, but it very well could be transforming your body. Or maybe it's accelerating your career path. Or another one might be improving your relationships. Or it could be deepening your spirituality, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. But you have to understand is that the body and mind are connected. So if all we're ever talking about is what's the best herb to use, what's the best form of a B vitamin, all of those things are great topics to chat about. They will help us get towards our goals, but not if there's a blockage between both mind and body. Now, when I say mind-body, it all of a sudden sets up the kind of thought process, like this is some new age-based thought process, but it's not. The mind represents our consciousness. Those are the thoughts that we believe we are thinking, right? Whoever the thinker is, that's what the thoughts are. But the body represents the subconscious. And I want to explain it, and I think you'll understand it from this perspective. The subconscious is essentially when you say, I'll give you a better example, because I was just going to give you a convoluted example. Let me give you a better example. There's an example that a lot of people teach in success seminars. And they say, okay, can you visualize yourself making $10,000 per year? And a lot of people say, of course, I can believe that. And they say, okay, can you believe yourself making $20,000 per year? And a lot of people say, okay, that feels comfortable. That feels fine. And then they say 40,000, and most people say, okay, I can visualize, I can feel myself making 40,000 a year. And they just keep doubling. And they say, what about 80,000? And some people start to feel a little bit more uncomfortable. And then 160,000, and then 320,000, and then 640,000. And then it's over what? $1 million. And then you have to ask yourself, do I feel comfortable making that amount of money? And then you'll start to get a little bit of tension in the chest or a little queasiness in the stomach. You can try it yourself right now. Just try it yourself. Just say, do I believe I can make, and then just put X number of dollars in your head. Say $1 million. If you say that, okay, say 10 million. And then say 100 million. And at some point you say, that doesn't feel realistic. Well, that is the subconscious. Your mind is saying, I can do this, and your subconscious is telling you back what it really feels. That's that feeling in the gut, right? That's the gut-brain axis. It's more than just digestion. It's that feeling you get in your gut, right? Your gut feeling. Well, there's real truth to that. Now, you can do the same with your wellness. You can say all day, I am going to get healthy. What's your gut tell you? Is there tension in your chest? Because if there is, you need to overcome that first, because I can almost guarantee you that you will not overcome your current situation in life, no matter what it is, because we can talk wellness, we can talk weight loss, we could talk career, we could talk finances, we could talk relationships, we could talk any topic in the world. But if you get that tension and you get that gut feeling that says, I don't think so, that means there's a disconnect. And when there's a disconnect, there is no way you're not going to self-sabotage yourself in the process. Again, you're not knowingly doing it. You don't want to do it, but at some point it's going to happen as you start to get closer to realizing that goal, because the subconscious, the body is not meeting where the mind is at. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, because I actually believe that it's a lot easier than you think to achieve these goals, as long as you remove yourself from a lot of that process. Now, again, that might seem very strange as well, but there's an ancient Chinese principle, and I love ancient Chinese philosophy. I've studied quite a bit about it, and it's something that I continue to look into this day. But there's a process of what was called effortless living. So it's one of the ancient secrets to effortless living. And I think you're going to understand this by the end of the show. And the principle is actually called Wu Wei in Chinese. And again, there's many different forms. I'm obviously not a linguistic master. But here's what Wu Wei means. It means that there is an effortless way to move through life and achieve our goals. But the way that we're going to be able to live that life, where we can feel at ease moving through our day, is that we must give up the tight grip on how we hold things in our life. So the tight grip would be trying to control every aspect of me getting well. I had to say, this has to be like this has to be. It was so rigid. I wasn't going to get well unless I took the supplements at exactly 6 a.m. and I took these exactly at 12 p.m., right? And then exactly at this time for dinner. And if I was 10 minutes off, then then the whole process was a waste, right? That's how tightly we grip things. And it's also why we're not always going to achieve our goals. That if we do, it will be hard to maintain them, because who can maintain a schedule like that? And the other thing is this. If you look at TV shows such as The Biggest Loser, and I love shows like that. All the respect to that show. They're promoting weight loss. But the problem is, can you control a process that rigidly with only looking at calories in and calories out? So they're on a low-calorie diet, about 1,200 calories for women, about 1,600 calories for men, and they're exercising anywhere from 4 to 6 hours or so per day, sometimes longer. They're doing, sweat sessions to lose more weight. Well, the problem is, you could do that for how long? Well, pretty much as long as that's your full-time job, as long as you're at that ranch. But what happens when you go back home? You've got family to take care of. You can't make it to the gym for even an hour a day. Nevertheless, 6 hours per day. Can you maintain that? No, because that is not part of effortless living. So there are going to be things that you need to do in life, but you need to be able to find out a way to lose that weight without the 6 hours of exercise and without the caloric deprivation. Another great example is this. If you remember learning to think about ski, or think about snowboard, or ride a bike, or anything with like a little bit of technicality to it, think about in the beginning how tightly you held your body. When you first learned to ski, everything was so tight, right? Or snowboard. Or what about riding a bike? You grip those handlebars so tightly because you were worried about always falling, right? Well, the problem is, the tighter you grip things, the tighter you kept your body, the more likely you were actually to fall while skiing or snowboarding or fall off your bike. And the reason was that you were not loose, that you were not fluid, that you weren't moving with the process. And if you can't move with the process and you're that rigid, then anything is going to throw you off. You hit a little patch of ice like we have here in New England, you're going to fall right down, right? And when you're riding that bike, it's going to be harder to turn. The tighter you grip that wheel, this goes for driving or riding a bike, the harder it is to turn. You need to be fluid. You need to be loose. You need to be open. You need to be not having necessarily tunnel vision, but a wider scope. I give the same advice to practitioners as well. When I do mentorship with practitioners, I say, you're so locked in that you can only help a person get well through using chelation therapy or using bioidentical hormones or using whatever, that you're missing all of the other ways to help this person. Mentally, physically, lifestyle-wise, sleep-wise, that matter sometimes so much more than what they're necessarily putting into their body because it reduces stress. So what we need to do is we need to set our goals, and this is why this topic's coming up here as we start our new year, is we need to set goals that we're not going to put that death grip on, that we are going to allow them to progress in a natural way. And as we allow them to progress in a natural way, we're going to get more of the connection between the mind and body. I'll tell you right now, if we go back to that finance setting goal and you say, okay, I started getting a little uncomfortable at the $80,000 a year, but once I hit $160,000, that made me really tense. So what I need you to do, just an example like that, because it's very concrete, is to say to yourself, I haven't ever made that amount of money before, but what I'm going to do is understand that other people out there are making that type of money, that I'm going to learn the blueprint, the system, the wisdom of what they've been doing to be able to make that type of a finance or that type of monetary gain. And I'm going to take my time in learning that process. I will make it happen, but I'm going to continue to gather the data and I'm going to allow the universe to point me in the right direction. And you might say, oh, well, the universe pointing you in the right direction, that's, a little too new age, a little too hokey for me. Well, it's not. It's absolutely not when you understand how quantum physics and quantum mechanics works. And again, I'm not an expert in this area. I'm not an expert in Chinese philosophy, but I enjoy reading about it and I enjoy learning about it, at least at maybe a little bit deeper than a surface level. And what I do know, and what quantum physics does tell us and teach us, is that we live in a world of vibration, a world of frequency. If you were to take any object and you were to ask a physicist, what is this? They would say, well, for the most part, it's 99.99% space. And there are some molecules or quarks, atoms, etc., that are showing it or brought together for it to look like it has mass in this three-dimensional world, right? But not in a different dimensional-based world. So what I'm trying to say is, all of these things have their own vibrational being, which makes it, I'm looking at my library right now, my office, which makes these books, and which makes my computer, and which makes my water bottle right here on my desk water, right? And the bottle itself. So what we're doing right now is these things are all their own vibrational being. We are our own vibrational being. The closer that we can get to actually believing at a subconscious, at a body level, which is its vibrational being, to what we want, there'll be a greater connection. There'll be more of a drawing towards, because there is an actual scientific principle of like attracts like. And so when we can look at this in our own life, we can start to say, I know when I set certain goals for myself, whether it be wellness or weight loss or whatever it might be, that there's a definite disconnect. I'm saying the words, but I'm not truly believing because I can't feel it. I can't feel what that's actually like. I can't visualize what that's actually like. And until you can do that, what you need to say is, I may not be there yet, but I know that I'm going to achieve it. You have to do whatever you do. A lot of people can just say, I am, or it's already done. And that takes some practice. I couldn't do that in the beginning. Now I can for sure do that with my goals. I know that they're not physically present in front of me, but I literally say it's already done. It's already been done. It is literally already done. My goals are done. And now all I'm doing is waiting to receive them. And I'm going to do the work. I'm going to continue to move forward, but I'm not going to fight the process, right? This is just one small example. Last week, and this is a minor example, I had a meal, healthy meal, cooked it right at home. My wife cooked salmon for us and shaved some of the outer rind of an orange and a lemon on top of the salmon. So a nice lemon zest, orange zest right on top. A lot of antioxidants in that, not something that I typically eat. I can't say the last time I had that. So I ate that. It was absolutely delicious. We had salmon. Typical meal at night, might have been some broccoli, olive oil, etc. So I wake up the next morning and my entire left eye is just swollen and there's a rash from the outer edge of my eyebrow all the way down through the side of my eye. I can look at this two ways and say, this is, terrible. I'm supposed to be a naturopathic doctor. I'm not supposed to get these rashes, etc., etc. But I said to myself that I believe there was a couple different variables. I got a new pillow. I had that dinner that night. So it was strange, but there was a couple different variables. Nothing like this has happened for quite some time. So instead of in the past me trying to say, I need to pull out this, I need to do this, all of these things, I said to myself, it's going to go away. I don't exactly know when, but I'm going to work the process to remove the rash both topically and internally. And if I need to run a lab test to see if something else is going on in my gut, I'll run that as well. So what I'm doing is saying that it's not a matter of if or when that eczema type rash that it looks like on the side of my face goes away. It's simply a matter of time. That's it. I know that it will. My body is not fighting the process. I'm recording this now 5 days after I got it, and it's already 50-60% gone. It has 40 more percent, I would say, to go. When will that happen? I don't exactly know, but I would say another 3 days, another 4 days. But what if it's another 10 days or 2 weeks? That's okay as well, because I already know that will be gone in just some time. Well, how many people out there have psoriasis or eczema or whatever, and they're worried that it will never go away? You have to tell yourself it's only a matter of time, but then you need to move through the process. So for me, it's don't overreact in the beginning. Let's see, was it my pillow? Was it a food sensitivity to that orange rind and lemon rind? Which it very well could be, right? Very well could be. That's not something that I typically eat. Healthy food, right? Nothing wrong with that. Great meal. The problem was I reacted to it because there's no one food that's great for every human being. So what I'm doing is say it was that one meal. Now I did some extra fasting. I did a 24-hour fast. I'm really removing it from my body. I'm going back to foods that I know work for me. So there's no new variables. I've already bought another pillow. It hasn't arrived yet. So if that's it, I'm going to remove that as well. So what I'm doing is simply working the process. Now I'm not saying to the universe, okay, please just make it go away. Like that's fine too, but I don't believe in just doing that. I believe in working the process, but not fighting it as well. Trying to live in a more effortless way, knowing that all in good time, it will come. And it will come faster, the faster I do work the process, but without a frantic pace. With understanding that I just have to work the process. That's it. So I'm going back in time and thinking about all the variables it could have been over that day or couple days. Remember, because things don't happen sometimes just overnight. So that meal was different. The pillow was different. And I also had a couple different nut-based bars, which I don't typically have. And the reason I've had those is that we are working on developing a brand new snack bar. And I'm very particular about this, very particular. And so I've been sampling many, many bars over the past couple of months, just saying, okay, well, how's the texture? How's the taste? How's the sweetness, the balance, like all of these things. And so it could have been one of those bars as well from the past day or 2 days before that, because there can be an IgG reaction, and a skin reaction is typically an IgG reaction. So again, this is what I teach to all of the thousands of people we see in my practice, and I need to take now my own medicine. So what am I doing? I'm working the process backwards. But what am I not doing at the same time? I'm not over-exaggerating the rash, even though it's directly in the line of sight of anybody looking at my eyes, right? And I don't love having it there, but I know that it will be gone, right? It'll be gone within the next couple of days or weeks. And what do I look at it? I look at this as what? A teaching lesson to myself, and then hopefully sharing it with you, is that these things can happen to all of us, and they do. I know the things by now that I should stay away from. Well, here's one more if it turns out to be citrus rinds that I'm sensitive to, right? This is just one more thing for me to add. Now, am I going to get upset about not having lemon zest or orange zest on salmon? Of course not. Of course not. I can get by without that. I'll be okay. So that's how I look at it. Well, this is one more thing. Now, if I wanted to test that in the future, I'd wait a couple months and I'd say, okay, let me test that to a minor degree. And if I start to see that flare up again, well, then it's official. I cannot do that and won't do that because it's not worth the skin rash that I have right now on my eye. So very interesting. This is how I look at it. This is a way where I can then turn this into a learning lesson and not be as excited or anxious or stressed that this happened, right? So this is very important for me to pass on this knowledge to you to allow yourself to set your goals but not become overwhelmed with the process. And it's also to set your goals but listen to your body. You need to be in a quiet spot. I can't recommend enough. getting a little time to yourself, talking with yourself, right? Talking to yourself in a positive way, saying, what are my goals? These are my goals, but do I believe I can achieve them? And if I believe I can achieve them, well, then let's get to work. And if I don't believe I can achieve them, then what am I missing? Because I'm the believer that you can achieve anything that you want in your life, without a doubt, if you're willing to work the process. Now, there's a lot of people who set goals, and there's a lot of people that want things out of their life, but they're not necessarily interested in doing the work that it takes to get there. Now, that's a different story. They might even believe, but they don't receive because there's no movement, there's no action. So I love the thought process of thinking the thought, visualizing what you want, and then saying, okay, it's already done. Now let me release it, because that's the last part, is you need to let it go, right? So going back to you with your finances of achieving a certain goal, or me with this unsightly rash on my face, it's this. It's been released. I'm not going to think about it all day long. Does it do me any good? No. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to say, every time it comes time to eat, is this something I've had before? Is this going to be reactive? And if the answer is maybe or yes, I eliminate it. I just move to the foods that I can't eat for right now. I'll get into the experimental stage again after it's gone. And that's what I want for you to do as well. You'll keep your goal in your mind and in the subconscious, and you'll go about your daily business working towards achieving that goal, but without the franticness, without the anxiety, with just knowing that with every day, you're moving one step closer towards that goal, because you're putting one foot in front of the other and moving down the path. So if your goal is that at the end of that path, it's simply your job to make it as effortless as possible. And sure, you'll hit obstacles, but as you encounter an obstacle, what are you supposed to do when you encounter an obstacle? You're supposed to learn from it. And that's because there is no way that you won't encounter obstacles on the way to your goal, because you don't know how to get to that goal yet. Because if you already knew how to do it, you'd be there. You would have achieved it. So it's clearly something new for you. It's you moving out of your comfort zone. It's you experiencing new things. If you think that you won't encounter any obstacles, any hardships with trying to lose the weight, get well, achieve a new financial or career-based goal, reach a new level of spirituality or enlightenment, or find the perfect relationship, achieve that perfect relationship, and you think there won't be any hardship, that to me is not a recipe for success. I would say it's even a little naive, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. But I'm saying is that there needs to be more life experience that you have to understand. And I'm not saying, again, this in a harsh way. But you need to understand is that you haven't achieved anything that you have right now in your life without overcoming a few obstacles to get whatever the things are that you're proud of right now, right? I mean, think about it. Think about anything right now in your life that you have that you're proud of. There's no doubt about it that you overcame something. And it's one of the reasons that you're most likely most proud about it. Because anything worth achieving comes from the struggle, a little bit of overcoming obstacles. Well, now I'm teaching you this, that you don't need to look at it as a struggle. You can look at it as new learning experiences. When I tell people and they come to me and they say, I've tried everything, I say, okay, let's go through everything you've tried. Let's go through it. And then I say, okay, good, you did try that. Good, you tried that as well. Okay, you tried low carb, you tried this. And I say, that's fantastic. You know why? Because you just gave me 11 ways that we know don't work for you, at least in the way that you didn't do them. So great. I don't need to waste either one of our time working through that process. Here's what we're going to do, because you haven't done these 3 things before. And these 3 things are most likely the path you need based on all of the results we've seen from your previous attempts before that. So remember, this is the way you look at every, as people would call a failure or obstacle, you look at it as simply one more way that you know that you can learn and grow from. One more way that didn't work on your way to achieving exactly what you want for your life. If you do this, you are living by the Wu-Wei principle of effortless living. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. I appreciate you, as always, tuning in. And if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.